Good morning, students. Welcome to Shimhavi International School online classes. Today's topic is what is democracy? Why democracy? This is chapter second of your book. So this is our part first. In this chapter, we are going to learn about certain concepts. The whole chapter is divided into 6 parts, and the first uh, 3 parts are going to be covered by us in this part number first of this chapter. Now, definition of democracy, that is, what do we mean by a democracy? So what is democracy? The word democracy, it comes from Greek word that is called demokratia. Demos means people and kratia means rule. So rule of the people, that is a simple definition of democracy. Now, in Greek, demos, as I said, people. So, according to Abraham Lincoln, democracy is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So, this is a basic definition of a democracy, but exactly this definition is not sufficient. Along with this definition, there are certain features that should be a part of a democracy, that is democratic way of working or democracy. Now, democracy is a form of government in which a constitution guarantees the basic personal and political rights, free and fair elections, and independent courts of law. They are being guaranteed in a government where a democracy is in working. Only then that government is called a democratic way of working is existing in that country. So, first, types of democracy. So there are 2 types of democracy that is existing throughout the world. Direct democracy means people, they directly participate in the governance of the country. The entire population of a country forms an assembly for the purpose of lawmaking. Its devices are, that means the main basis of direct democracy devices are initiatives that are being made by the people who are appointed. Referendum means policies that are being started by the government in paperwork. Recall means we as a citizen are able to recall if there is certain problem. And plebiscite, that means public initiative. Now, initiative means the power of the voters to the purpose and get the law passed in accordance with their wishes. So that is the initiative, that certain citizens are able to initiate, that means citizens are able to have the power, have the control over the working of the government. In indirect democracy, administration is run by the people's representatives. That means the government is run by people's representatives, and these representatives are elected by the people on the basis of universal adult franchise. That means there is no direct involvement of the citizens. So this is 2 type of democracy that is existing in any country of the world. Now, what are the main features of democracy? If we are looking at the main features, there are certain features, and these features we are going to understand with the help of some examples that are given in our book. So we are just going to cover the examples that are provided in our book. First feature of democracy, beside the definition of democracy which should be present, that means beside the definition that is given by the Abraham Lincoln, that is, the democracy is government of the people, by the people, for the people. Beside this feature, first feature that should also be present is that the rulers elected by the people, they should take all the important decisions. It should not be that beside the ruler some other form of working is existing in a country, then it is not a democratic country in spite of the fact that elections are held in that country. The example of Pakistan, it shows that even though the Prime Minister is elected, elections are being held, but the President or army plays an important role. If the Prime Minister is not working according to the wills of the president or military officers, then the prime minister has to resign or he is being removed if he is not resigning, and this has occurred in Pakistan several times. One such example is provided in your book, and that example is of 1999 that occurred in Pakistan when General Pervez Musharraf, he led a military coup in October 1999. Military coup means when, with the help of military, the working government is removed with force, then it is called military coup. Now, he overthrew the democratically elected government and declared himself the chief executive of the country. So first he overthrew the running government, then he declared himself the chief executive of the country. Second step he made was that he changed his designation to president. So first he was made the chief executive, then he converted himself, his designation was converted by himself as a president. Now in 2002 he held a referendum in the country. Now the word referendum that I already used. Now referendum means a general vote by the electorate on a single political which has been referred to them for a direct decision. That means people have to decide whether they are in favor of that particular change or not. That means they are asked whether they are in favor, yes or no. So referendum was held in the country that granted him a 5-year extension. So in this way he got the 5-year extension, even though the Pakistan media, human rights organizations, they said that referendum was based on malpractices and fraud. So according to media, whatever the referendum was passed by which Musharraf got an extension of 5 years, it was just done in an unfair manner. It was not done in a proper manner. Actually he has not won the referendum, but in media it was shown that he was accepted as a 5-year extension. Now in 2002 Musharraf issued a legal framework order. So legal framework order was issued according to which constitution was amended. Now amendment means changes were being made in the constitution. According to this order, the president can dismiss national or provisional assemblies. Now provincial assemblies, why? Because in Pakistan there are provisions, not states. So national and provisional assemblies, both of them can be dismissed if they are not working according to the wills of the president. So he got this power by legal framework order. The work of the civilian cabinet is supervised by the National Security Council, which is mainly dominated by military officers. So he also supervised the work of the civilian. Now the work of the civilian cabinet means cabinet that is being appointed, that is a committee of senior ministers responsible for controlling government policy. So he also framed a cabinet that was supervised by the National Security Council. So elected representatives have some power, but the final power in Pakistan was in the hands of the military officers and General Musharraf himself. So during his rule, the people, they may have elected the representatives to the National Provisional Assembly, but these representatives, they were not allowed to take the final decision. The final decision rests with the army officers or the Musharraf himself. So this kind of working actually happens only in dictatorship or monarchical type of government, that is king rule. So they formally, in Pakistan, they formally have elected, they are having elected parliament, government, but the real power is with those who are not elected by the people. This condition in that case cannot be termed as people's rule. The first feature, now as I have told you, is that the democracy should have the final decision making power, and that power should rest with those who are elected by the people, and this feature of democracy is absent in Pakistan. So beside having the election, the ruling of Pakistan, we can't say that it is working in a democratic manner. So that is the first feature. Now second feature, free and fair electoral competition. In this we are going to study two examples because they are having two different ways in which free and fair elections are not being held. First example is of China and second one is of Mexico. So the main second feature is that elections should offer a choice and fair opportunity to the people to change their current ruler. So this example is absent in China. First example we are going to cover: the members of the Chinese parliament called Guangzhou Renmin Daibyo, that is Dahai, that is English name is National People's Congress. Now here Congress is not a party, it is the name of the Parliament of China. So China's parliament, that is named National People's Congress, they are elected by the people after every 5 years. That means elections are held after every 5 years. The National People's Congress has the power to appoint the president of the country and some members elected by the army. So whatever the members they are having, the parliament is having, it is being elected by either by the president or by the army. Those who are contesting the elections, in that case also a candidate needs the approval of Chinese Communist Party. That means whoever is going to contest election or who is going to stand in election, he should have the approval of Chinese Communist Party. Only its member or the members of 8 parties that are allied to the Chinese Communist Party, they are allowed to contest. No other party is allowed to contest the election. So in this way the government is always formed by the Communist Party. That is why one single party is working in China, no other party is actually existing. So Communist Party is always forming the government, and in this case no choice is being offered to the citizens. That means citizens are having no choice, they are not having any choice to change the form of working that is existing in China. Now second example is after independence in Mexico. That is the example of Mexico. After independence in Mexico in the year 1930, Mexico's elections are being held after every 6 years. So here elections are held after 6 years to elect the president. So president elections are held after 6 years. Mexico has never been under military or dictator rule. It is not having any military or dictator rule till 2000 all the presidential elections they were won by PRI. So before, that is, we are taking into consider that before 2000, whenever the elections were being held after 6 years, it was always, the country was always run by one single party, and the name of the party is PRI. Now, the full abbreviation of the meaning of PRI, Institutional Revolutionary Party. This is written in opposite way, that is Institutional Revolutionary Party, not, it is not IRP. So PRI is always in working, and they employed many corrupt practices and unethnic means to win the election every time. So what are the unethnic means? All the government officers, wrong practices of PRI. All the government officers, they have to attend the party meeting, number one. Teachers and of the government schools, they used to force parents to vote for the PRI. If they are not going to vote for PRI, then their children are not being given any admission in the government school. Third, polling booths, they were shifted from one place to another at the last moment to make it difficult for people to cast the vote. So these are some of the examples of the wrong, unethnic practices or corrupt practices that were being used by the PRI. Now, in both the cases, we understood that China and Mexico, it does not appear that the elections have been held properly. Holding election of any kind is not sufficient example of a democratic government. Even if the elections they are being held, they must offer a real choice between political alternatives. People should have the right to use their choice to remove the existing ruler if they wish. That means if they want, citizens are able to change the government. And by both the examples, these two examples of are not of true democracies. So the feature that is absent in China and Mexico is that a democracy that should be based on free and fair elections, those currently in power should have a fair chance of losing. That means they should lose the, if they are not losing the government, it means they are working in a forceful manner. Now third example, one person, one vote, one value. So in this example, we feature of the democratic working is that there are many instances of denial of equal rights to vote. In Saudi Arabia, women, they were not allowed, or they were not having the right to vote, but now they are having the right to vote. So we are not covering the example of Saudi Arabia, even though it is written in your book. Estonia, in Estonia, the citizenship rules are being made in such a way that the people belonging to Russian minority, they find it very difficult to get the right to vote. So that it means that Russians, those who are living in Estonia, which is a neighboring country, the Russians are in minority. That means they are less in number, and they are having social setup as a minority. So they found it very difficult to have the right to vote. It doesn't mean that they are not having right to vote, but they find it very difficult. Second example is of Fiji. In this country, the electoral system is being made in such a way that the vote of a local Fijian has more value than that of a Indian Fijian. That means if a local Fijian, he goes to vote, then his vote value is 2 as compared to the Indian Fijian value of 1. So there is a discrimination being made. This is being done so that the government that is being framed, it should be according to the likes of local Fijian, not according to the wills of Indian Fijian. So will of Indian Fijian is almost ignored in case of Fiji. Now, in this both the examples, democracy that should be based on the fundamental principle of political equality, it is absent in those countries. It should a democratic feature that it should give in a democracy, all the adult citizens, they must have one vote and each vote should have one value. So it is absent in these cases. Now, fourth feature of democracy is that rule of law and respect of rights. So the exercise of choice leads to the government limited by the basic rules of constitution and citizens' right. In Zimbabwe is an example where it attained the independence from white minority in the year 1980. So in this case, from then onward, the country has been ruled by only one party, and that is ZANU-PF. This party has led the freedom struggle of Zimbabwe, but the leader Robert Mugabe, even though he was the president of the country and he was the favorite person also of the country, but still he tried to control the country on his own. He has been the leader of the country since independence till the year 2018, when he was overthrown by force. Now in Zimbabwe, elections are always won by ZANU-PF party through violence and harassment of the opposition political workers and journalists. That means opposition parties are there, but they are being harassed by the ZANU-PF party members. Protests against presidents were illegal in that country, and the government does not heed court judgment which went against it. That means even if court give any judgment against the working of the president, even if it declares that whatever the work is being done is illegal, the party did not give a heed to it. That means it does not accept the judgment. So there is no rule of law and citizens' rights are not respected in Zimbabwe. So the example of Zimbabwe shows that the popular approval of the ruler is necessary but not sufficient in democracy. His approval should be there, but it is not sufficient, because popular government can be undemocratic and popular leaders can also be autocratic. So conclusion from Zimbabwe case is that the state should respect the basic rights of the citizens, like the right to expression, right to protest, right to take political action. These rights should be protected by the judicial system of a country, whose order should be obeyed by all. And if it is not existing, that means the working is not according to the rule of the law and there is no respect of human rights. The democratic government cannot do whatever it likes. It's simply because it has won the election. That means if a government has won the election, it doesn't mean that it could work on its own. It should respect basic rules. It should respect and guarantee respect to the minorities. Major decision that should be taken after a series of consultation. So consultation should also be done. Elected person, he should be responsible to the people as well as to other independent officials, those who are working in the country. So this feature of democracy that is an important one, that democratic government rules within the limits set up by the constitutional law and citizens' right. So these are the features of democracy beside the simple definition that we have studied. Now in second part we are going to learn why democracy means, why we accept democracy. So in that we are going to debate what are the better features, that is merits, or what are the demerits, and then its working in normal ordinary sense.